Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is 5 Let's Not Meet stories from Reddit. Enjoy. So this happened over a year ago. Our oldest son Caden was 3 at the time, and our youngest son Connor was around 5 months old. It still gives me chills and still makes me uncomfortable when walking by it. It was January in PA. It was dark outside with a couple inches of snow on the ground. We had just finished eating dinner and I planned on giving our little one a bath. My husband drives a truck for work, so he isn't home very often. It was me, the boys, during the week. Caden was playing in his toy room that has a door leading up to the side deck. A little detail, we have no sensor light or even a porch light on that whole side of the house. At this time, we didn't use the deck at all, only to use our grill these summer months. It's not close to the sidewalk or next to the street over, basically an open space of the yard off the deck. Anyway, Caden was playing in the toy room waiting for his turn to take a bath while I brought Connor into the bedroom. We were just about done with the bath time when I heard Caden's little feet running towards the bathroom. He stands at the doorway and says, "Mummy, there's a man looking in the side door. I think it's the mailman." My heart skipped a beat because, number 1, the mailman is coming at 7 p.m. Number 2, the side door, as he called it, is never used, especially not in the winter. Number 3, I didn't hear anyone knock. I began to sketch myself out more than thinking about it. How is there no light on the deck and this person would have to walk through the yard in the snow, walk up the back stairs of the deck and go that door? When the front porch light was on and attached to a shoveled sidewalk, I took Connor out of the bath and put him in a towel in his little chair and told Caden to sit with his brother and not come out until I said it was okay. He was confused but listened. Just kept asking what was wrong. I grabbed the biggest kitchen knife I could find, had 911 ready to call, and got my mama bear face on. When I walked to the side door, I shined the flashlight on my phone through the window of the door at a distance, walking up to it to hopefully scare someone away. It was made mostly out of glass. The worst thought with this, as a mother, is that I reached for the handle and I realized it was unlocked. Someone could have walked right in. I flung the door open, shined my light, held up my knife and yelled, "Hey!" in the most threatening voice a 5'4", 120-pound woman could make. There were footprints in the snow up to the deck stairs and back going down into the field in the woods behind our house. I slammed the door thoroughly and freaked out and locked it. I called the police and waited in the bathroom with the boys. While I was in there, I asked Caden, "Do we know who the man was?" He said no, but he smiled and waved at me for a long time. I asked him what he was wearing, and he told me a hat that looked like the mailman's. He wasn't wearing a coat. The police officer came and searched the property with flashlights before coming inside. He asked me and Caden questions and informed me that he only saw footprints leading up to the side deck, but to the outside door of our basement and kitchen window on the other side of the house as well. He suggested I have someone come by and stay with us for the night, and they'll continue to follow the footprints that were left in the snow back to the field and wood line. My father-in-law slept on the couch that night with his gun, being the closest relative to our house. My mother was a nervous wreck, and I got very little sleep that night. I never heard back from the police. Caden still mentions it time to time randomly, and we got a blackout curtain for that door. I'd still very much like to get better locks to be safe. My husband and my father think it might have been a man who saw me home alone while passing and wanted to hopefully sneak a peek. But why just stand and watch my child and go around the whole back of the house, not by the front door or street? Hope to never see that creep face and hope he never smiles or waves at my child again. This will be short compared to other stories. First, I should say, when I was growing up, my mom had undiagnosed mental health issues. One of the more minor things she suffered from was extreme anxiety and social awkwardness, but this case had significant impact on what would come. I must have been around the age of 8 or 10, I can't remember exactly. We lived in a very small town in north of Scotland, which also happened to be only a mile or so away from the short spiritual retreat that is fairly well known because we had this spiritual place so close to us. We'd get a lot of, shall we just say, weird people come into our town. I don't mean to suggest that spiritualness equals weird, but the reality is that it did attract a lot of weird people to the area. So one day, I, my mom, and my little brother went to the high street to get some groceries, just as a usual Friday afternoon. Outside the grocery store, before making our way home, there was this guy with a huge dog. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the breed of the dog, but it was one of those huge dogs with the most beautiful, pure white, fluffy fur. My brother and I were fascinated with it. The guy got chatting with my mom for seemed like an eternity. Due to her anxiety, she found it difficult to end the conversations. Eventually, she managed to get him to stop talking, and we started walking home. The guy with the dog had a van where he converted the back of it into a sleeping area for him and his dog. Instead of just saying bye and going his way, he put the dog in the back and proceeded to drive behind us at a pace that was slower than the pace we were walking at. When we got home, he parked right outside our front door. When we got in, my mom shut the curtains and said to ignore him. On Saturday morning, my brother and I got up early, and when we peeked out the curtains, he was still there, but standing with his dog right outside the wall up to our garden, staring right into our living room window. It feels weird as fuck saying this now, but to be honest to God, our mom made us turn off all the lights just to crawl around so the guy we were not in. For the next 2 days, he would just keep coming up to our door, begging on it, and when he got no response, he would just come into the living room window and bang on that, shouting he knew we were in and just wanted to be friends, things like that. He eventually fucked off. I know how weird it is now that my mom just didn't call the police or a friend for help, but I can forgive her for suffering mental ill health at the time. As for the guy, though, let's never meet again, you absolute weirdo, serial killer in the making. This happened quite a few years back when I was around 14 years old. Let me preface by saying that I had previously been told by my old best friend, Jenna, that her neighbor had some entirely creepy tendencies. I slept over at her place a lot, but never encountered her creepy neighbor. This guy was married and had children, and his house was directly behind Jenna's place. There's a wooden fence in her backyard that separated the neighbor's backyard and theirs. Jenna had a deck, and the stairs were a few feet off from the house, so you could fit a fairly small person between the deck stairs and the house. You could see into the neighbor's backyard if you're standing on the deck, but not if you're in the grass. With that understood, we had a half day, so I went back to Jenna's place. I wasn't allowed over that day, but since we were inseparable, it didn't matter. We weren't expecting her mom to be home from work for a good few hours anyway. Her mom ended up coming home early, so Jenna and I scrambled to the backyard so her mom wouldn't see me as not to get her in trouble. We went outside and wedged ourselves in between the stairs and the house so her mom wouldn't hear the fence gate open as it made a lot of noise whenever it opened. We waited a couple minutes until we started hearing shuffling in the neighbor's backyard. We could faintly see him through the cracks of the wood, and it looked like he was putting out his recycling or garbage. Instead, he was making his way onto the bin and poking his head over the fence to look in their windows from the backyard. You can look into Jenna's mom's window, the bathroom, and into the parts of the kitchen. We saw him, but he didn't see us. We were shaking and holding onto each other for dear life as we watched her neighbor stand up right onto the bin and get a better view into the windows. He kept shifting from bin to bin to get better angles and assumed later on it was Jenna's mom's room since she just got back from work and possibly into the bathroom. This went on for about 5 to 10 minutes, us trembling and trying not to move and make a noise, while her creepy neighbor kept trying to look into Jenna's house. He eventually got back down and went into his house like nothing happened while Jen and I hopped her fence gate soon after. A few weeks later we had another incident where Jenna's sister took a shower late at night and went into her room. Her blinds were open, it was dark outside. There was a tree that sat in the front yard, and it was snowing pretty heavily. She called us on her phone saying she saw someone in the trees and couldn't see them anymore. We told her to turn off her light, and while Jenna and I did the same in her room, we peeked out the window. We couldn't see anything. We went to her sister's room and asked what happened. She was convinced she saw someone in the tree who believed was their neighbor. So Jenna and I went out to the front to investigate. By the time he was gone, but we did find fresh shoe prints in the snow that went from the neighbor's front yard to the tree, then right up to Jenna's sister's window before it trailed back to the neighbor's house. Suffice to say, creepy neighbor, let's not meet again. About 15 years ago, I was reading a Harry Potter book in the middle of the summer on a sweltering night. My mother didn't believe in running the AC at night. It was roughly 80 degrees. I can't sleep when it's hot, so I was just reading my book. I heard a noise coming from my open window, sounded like someone sobbing. I went to my window and slowly pulled back the curtain. I saw a figure standing at the corner of our lot underneath the street lamp. The figure was shaking, clearly the source of crying. Eventually they slowed down and started to breathe normal again. It just stood there staring off. I was watching this person for a good long time, and I don't know how much time had passed. Eventually, it started shifting a bit and moved and walked away from the corner lot, and the individual turned and looked at my house. I saw a glint, and then I swear we locked eyes, and his eyes/face showed no emotion. I gasped and let go of the curtain and ran threw myself on the bed, leaving the lights on because I was terrified. I began watching the clock tick by. An hour passed, then I heard it again, a gunshot in the distance just as I was falling asleep from exhaustion. The next morning, I found out one of my neighbors, whom I didn't know well, committed suicide. Him and his wife had a huge argument over the day, and he chose to end his life. It was him that was standing there, so guy under the street lamp, I'm very sorry we won't meet again. This story happened years ago when I was 6 or 7, maybe 8. My mom and dad went to go visit a family for a reunion, I think. It was located at Beachside Park, and there was a playground nearby. It was a fun day with swimming and barbecues, but the day was coming to a close. My parents were chatting with the other adults, and I went to the playground because I was bored. I didn't think to tell my parents because I was a dumbass at that age. I assumed they see me, so it was fine, right? As I was playing, a couple approached the playground. They were both Caucasian, with the lady having red hair and some blemishes. She wore a faded overcoat and boots. The man was taller than her, and he had a bald head and was wearing a blue tracksuit. They both looked middle-aged parents, in their late 40s. I didn't care about them until they walked up to me. They then waved at me and said hi, so I said hi back. I didn't come down from the playset. They then asked me, hey, where are your friends? Me being stupid said, I didn't come with any, I just came with my relatives. I pointed in the direction of the beach. They weren't far enough that I couldn't see them, probably 100 feet or so away. The couple then tried to make small talk about stuff I liked, where I lived, and my home number. All the red flags I'd run from today, but I was blind to them. Back then, thank whoever's out there that I didn't remember my home number or address back then. They only answered questions about things I liked. I started coming down from the playset too, when the lady of the couple asked the question that I'll always remember. We can be your friends, you know. Don't you want a friend who'll never let you go? My response wasn't the most normal to the question. Instead of screaming for help, I hopped down to the other side of the playset towards my parents and called for them to come over. I believe I called out, Mama, Papa, look, I made some new friends. Now, for the past 7 minutes or so, I guess, my parents and relatives were looking for me frantically since I wandered off. When I called for my parents, my mom heard and started to run over. I'm guessing she saw the couple. The couple looked at each other for half a second, realized my dumbass was not worth it, and ran towards the parking lot. My mom then came to me and gave me a big hug. She then asked what happened, and I told her about the friends I made, what we talked about, and how I was sad they ran off. My mom just sighed and called the cops. My mom told them about what happened, and they asked me what the couple looked like. Me being a kid at the time, my descriptions were vague and basic. The cops left, and we decided to pack up and drive home. On the way home, my mom gave me the stranger danger talk, and I listened. I don't know if they were ever caught. I hope they were. For the sake of dumbass kids everywhere, or that are deterred from them nabbing kids ever again, because they are almost caught. Either way, out there or not, creepy child napping couple. Let's not meet again, ever. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I put the links down in the description for the stories I used in this video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!